Well, the man accused of murdering UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson on a New York street is facing a judge right now in a pretrial hearing. Luigi Mangione says he's not guilty to both state and federal charges in that murder. So today, Mangione's attorney is calling into question the use of evidence from Mangione's interaction with the Pennsylvania police officers who caught and cuffed him. Now, this is the scene where that arrest happened, a Pennsylvania McDonald's 230 miles outside of that crime scene. Live now to CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman in New York. So, Katrina, what have you heard in the courtroom so far today?
Reed, it's almost like a mini trial that we're seeing in there. They're calling witnesses for these suppression hearings related to the evidence and statements that Luigi Mangione's defense attorneys do not want to come in if this goes to trial. So far, we've heard from someone from the NYPD, as well as a man who was the installation supervisor of the security cameras at that McDonald's where Luigi Mangione was arrested. We've seen all of the images that were published of the suspect who they believe killed Brian Thompson, that UnitedHealthcare CEO, as well as the video of that shooting. But perhaps the most striking thing that we heard was a 911 call. That came from the manager at the McDonald's, and her conversation with the dispatcher was very interesting to hear, Reed. She called and said that at least 6 customers had walked up to her in the store and said that they were suspicious of a guy who was in there. He was sitting at a table. They said to her, "He looks like the CEO shooter from New York." It's also notable that Luigi Mangione's defense attorneys did object to this. The judge said that he's allowing it in for this hearing, but it will still be in question if they go to trial, if they'll let this play. But the manager on the phone is saying that she told the customers, "I don't know what to do here, guys." She describes the person who's sitting at the table. She says he's mid-height, mid-weight. He's wearing a hoodie. He's wearing a blue medical mask, and he's wearing a beanie on his head. So we hear all of this playing out. The dispatcher ultimately tells her that an officer's on the way and to keep an eye on him. And in this footage we saw too, we see all of these police officers come into that McDonald's. We see the person sitting at the table in the back, sort of how he's cornered in near a restroom. So it's been very interesting to see all of this imagery play out.
Well, you say it's almost like a mini trial there, so you've had proximity to Luigi Mangione. Any reaction from him as he sits there and listens to all of this evidence?
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking right at him during all of this. You know, he walked in today, he's wearing a dark gray suit, a check shirt, but he seems a lot more serious than when I've seen him in the past. His hair is short, he looks paler, he is watching intently as all of this goes on. His lawyer specifically asked that his hands be unshackled so that he could take notes, and they did allow that, so he's taking a lot of notes, he's talking to his attorneys, he's looking very pensively at these videos and these images as they're playing on the screen, sort of rubbing his hair, touching his face. So he seems very serious today, especially compared to when I've seen him in the past, Reed.
And we're talking about the state case. Of course, we know the federal case could bring the death penalty. Are you seeing any of Mangione's family or friends there in the courtroom?
You know, I'm not sure if any of his family or friends are there. There are a number of people from the public, but that too is much smaller than in the past. There's about 3 rows of people from the public, mostly women again. Some of them are wearing shirts with writing on them. One of them, Reed, said, "Justice is not a spectacle." Another one said, "Without a warrant, it's not a search, it's a violation." A third one said that there's 11 minutes of missing body camera. So he's still getting a lot of attention. We know that his defense fund has received a lot of money, but there is a smaller showing today than we've seen in the past.
All this playing out while the family of Brian Thompson goes into another holiday without their husband and father. Thank you so much, Katrina Kaufman. We appreciate it.